I mean, listen, as long as I don't go back to the 70s or 80s, because LeBron James made some comments about them guys, and he was very. Some people think he was very disrespectful. Some people think that it was fair. He said things like, if Kyrie Irving would have played back then, they would have had to like ban him for dribbling, like they banned Wilt for doing certain things, they Kareem do certain things. He talked about Giannis. I believe he says that he would score 200 points in a
150.
game.
Yep.
250.
250.
So I mean, basically, what's our reaction to that? I mean, was LeBron fair or foul, basically? And I'm gonna kick this one off. First of all, Giannis was a bad example. I'm sorry. I get what LeBron is saying, but Giannis was the bad example. Giannis would score less back then than
Then
he
that
will now. The
exactly.
reason why Giannis is dominant because there are no bigs in the league.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Giannis is dominant.
He
Back
did
then,
he forget that Kareem was playing during that time?
like, bruh, you go to the 90s, you got all these David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Hakeem Olajuwon. He will put Giannis in a blender
Exactly.
and strap Giannis.
Exactly.
So my thing is, Giannis was a bad example. I get Kyrie. Now he over exaggerated about all that stuff. Now I'm with LeBron. He also said that the Hummer. You look at the Hummer back in like 2000 early 2000s. He said Hummer because they gave him when he's in high school. It's just clipped my brain. You get a Hummer back in like early 2000s and a Hummer today or a Jeep. I mean, it's night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Look at a simple Toyota. My first car was a 1990 Toyota Corolla. That junk looked like the red car on Boys in the Hood. It was so small like that, and it was black with some gray scrapes on the front. It was ugly. You look at a Toyota Corolla 2025, 2026. That thing look like it's in the future, and you compare it. So that's true evolution because you learn as you go. Like
Mm-hmm.
for example, like not for example, but it's anything like if I, I played in NBA 1970, guess what? There were no 3-point lines. Okay, cool. So we shot everything inside. Then they created a 3-point line. And then we realized the 3-point line is actually harder than the 2-point. I'm gonna still do the 2-point. But then you realize probably like in the 2000s, y'all know if we shoot a little bit more threes, you know what I mean? You will actually get more points. Okay, then we'll shoot a little bit more threes. And then in 2010, it's like, bruh, let me do this math. If I do this, so the more you do something, the more it gets better. This is how it is. So
Mm-hmm.
what I dislike about the whole situation, Dave, before you criticize, praise, give give homage. Say things like, "Yo, I'm grateful," blah blah. But come on now, like if anybody played now from now and back then, they were cooked, which is true, and it should be true because back then we're no AAU. Back then it wasn't other guys like they multiple like so many guys that can watch over and say like, oh, I could monitor my game after this. It wasn't a lot of personal training, all that stuff. Like it wasn't a lot of resources back then. You gotta take all that into consideration.
Yep.
First of all, in the 70s, not until like mid 70s, black people. It was only a certain amount of black people you got on your team
Yeah, you can
because
only
a
have
lot of people,
maybe like 4 or 5 during that time.
because everybody was in the ABA, whatever. Like Julius Irvin, all them dudes was in a whole different league, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So you gotta realize the times are different. So I hate the fact that they destroy and disrespect the era without paying it homage first. I agree that guys today, you put, I mean, name anybody. I mean, Tyler Hero. I'm not gonna play Tyler Hero. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, okay. All right,
Why
you
not?
put, you right, you right. I can do Tyler Hero. You put, I don't know about that. I wouldn't say if I put him in the 90s, he would be like, I
No,
wouldn't say that.
no, no,
Okay,
no.
you put, bro. I know who Tyler Hero, bro. I'm sorry. If you put DeMar DeRozan, perfect. DeMar DeRozan in the 70s, he'll be better than he was nowadays, probably. High flyer. I'm not gonna use Mark Rosen. I'm gonna use
Come on now, Ty. Come on now,
Trey
Ty.
Young.
You tripping?
But people say Trey Young too small. But y'all get the point. Guys are more skilled today. So my only issue, Dave, is respect the older guys because they paid the way. They had less resources than guys have right now. Because at the end of the day, y'all more competitive. But guess what? These dudes play 82 games a year. 82 games a year. Y'all dudes sitting out with a toe pain, pinky pain. Oh, I got a headache. I ain't playing today. Come on, man. Pay homage to the old heads.
Yeah, I have pretty much the same sentiment as yours. I'll say this though. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. He got a troll. That's it. He got a troll. I think Tyler would put up the same amount of points he put him now back in the 70s. Uh I think my issue with it is what you were saying in the end. The resources. My thing
Mm,
is, are you putting the players the way that they are now into the 70s? Or if they were in the 70s, they would be exactly that just because of their athleticism. The thing is, back then, there were athletic players at that time as well. Iceman George Gervin, was he not athletic? You had
no.
Dr. J. There were some athletic ballers back then too. It's just that there were some things that weren't allowed back then. They weren't even dunking during that time, I don't think. So you got to think about all of that stuff. And honestly, I don't there there are some players that could ball out in any era. I think LeBron would be good in any era. I think Jordan would
Mm-hmm.
be good in any era. Kobe good in any era. Dwayne Wade better than any good in any era. James Harden good in any era. Like
Kyrie.
I can go down with Kyrie good in any era. Jokic, I believe he'll be good in any era. There's so many guys you can name that it's like, okay, these are era-less players. Like no
Mm,
matter where you put them at, they can go and ball. But some people you just can't name. Giannis, for one, Giannis does not have a certified jump shot. He's not good at the free throw line. He can't shoot from three consistently. And back
mm-hmm.
then they weren't really shooting the three ball at all. What could Giannis do? Giannis is known for
Mm-hmm.
driving the lane. Big men during that time weren't driving down the lane. They were in the lane waiting on the ball. So that means Giannis would have to be putting his back to the basket most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
which means he's not going to be able to do what he does in the NBA right now,
Mm.
which means he would not dominate. I'm sorry. I think that he would probably average 20, 25 points per game during that time, but he won't be doing what he does now because back then the coaches were like, no, you go get in the paint. Think about it. Shaq had the same ability before he gained weight. When he was with Orlando, he could drive the ball. He could handle. He even had a jump shot. He was even pretty decent at the free throw line in the beginning of
Mm.
his career. But he was a big man, so they moved him to the paint, and he got bigger. So that's all he did was he was in the paint majority of the time. Now, if you look at someone like Hakeem could dominate because Hakeem also had a jump shot. He had a really good mid-range shot.
Mm-hmm.
Giannis does not have that. So that was absolutely a terrible example. I think that
Terrible.
was a bad example. Now, if he said Joel Embiid, if he was healthy, I get it. Because Embiid can actually shoot the ball. And he can do more outside of the paint and in the paint than what Giannis can. Giannis is strictly a paint guy. If you look at his ability, he's not really good from mid range. He's absolutely not good from the 3-point line, and he's not good from the free throw line. So his only ability is in the paint and driving the ball. So, and back then during the 70s, big men weren't doing that. Giannis is not 6'8", 6'7", 6'6". Giannis is considered a big man. So he ain't gonna be able to do all of that. And Ty, I might agree with you. If they allow traveling back there, he might cook.
But
He
his
might.
body's in the paint though.
Exactly. That's the thing. His body's in the paint. You had
Giannis floors when you got shooters around
you
him.
had guys like Bill Walton in the paint during that time. Like I don't come on now. Come on. I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm sorry. I don't see Giannis dominating. Now, if it's someone else, like I said, like Jordan, Braun, um, Kobe, Dwayne Wade, even Tracy McGrady, Carmelo Anthony, like I can name guys that can. You got to be able to do more than just one thing. Giannis is not really good at everything. He's good at, he's a good playmaker, but nah. Giannis is a bad example.
Yeah, Giannis is best at his best when he has shooters around.
Yeah.
And back then it wasn't like there wasn't a game. Everything was inside out, inside out, inside out. So
Mhm.
he gonna have to develop a post game.
Exactly.
It was a bad example.
And that's not something that Giannis has, honestly. He does not
That
necessarily have a post game.
I definitely get the point, and he don't have a post game. And I know the Cleveland Browns.